Interest rates is always at the top of the agenda. I get asked
Yes.
a lot by my clients, by my referral partners. The Reserve Bank had a meeting yesterday
Yep.
with a little bit of interesting commentary that came out
Yes.
of it too. So you would have been all over that. What are your thoughts?
Now, I'm a contrarian. So I think if people haven't bought a house yet,
Yep.
this is great news. I'll explain why in a minute. If you already have bought a home recently or especially if you bought a home back when rates were really, really low, this is terrible news. But let's focus on the positive. So if you're someone looking to get into the market, whether you're a first home buyer, whether you're looking to sell and buy, whether you're an investor, I believe so strongly as rates go up, opportunities increase as well. Forget the cash flow you might have lost a little bit because the rates are going down, the purchase price. Let's just pretend you can buy an asset now for $30,000 less because of that announcement. That announcement, the rates haven't gone up, they just haven't gone down.
Yes. Yeah.
So would you rather pay 30 grand less or save 0.25% in your home loan? Let's say you borrow $1 million. 0.25 off your home loan is 2.5 grand a year.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Cool. But you paid now 30 grand less. So it's like getting a 12-year discount at 0.25% on your home loan up front.
Yeah.
And then you pay slightly less fees. So let's even pretend that they do increase the rates next year.
Because that was a little bit of talk as well.
Correct.
3 of the banks have said on hold for an extended period.
Yep.
One of the majors have come out and said we're expecting 2 more hikes next year.
Yep. So that's going to bring rates roughly back, if they do 2, close to 6%. A bit under, right?
Yeah.
But let's just call it 6% opportunity.
Yeah.
Like you're a first home buyer getting into the market. The first home buyer schemes have obviously increased their real estate prices
Correct.
because that's what governments do, right? They make these decisions. Free money always costs you money. Simple. With these rates, it's going to bring the prices back down to make it more attainable. Again, if you're looking to buy a home and a 0.25 or a 0.5% interest rate affects you, you probably shouldn't be borrowing that much money in the first place.
So do you think with the commentary around the rates, is it going to put people on the sidelines a little bit?
Yes, because at least for a short period of time, till they realize, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
People operate in fear. All right. So when you got the populace operating in fear, especially after an announcement, and they don't look at the whole macro picture of things, then they step back and say, oh, it's a terrible time to buy. They don't educate themselves enough and look at history, because history tends to repeat itself, and say, hold on, maybe this is actually really good because there's going to be potentially less buyers in the market.
Competition, spot on.
Less competition. There's going to be maybe more desperation for those vendors needing to sell.
Yep.
So maybe you can negotiate a better price.
Yeah. So in the example there, the vendors had perhaps factored in some decreases coming up, which is going to ease their repayments and make holding the asset a little bit easier. If that's been taken away, yes, they'll be keen to sell.
Correct, because they're not just looking at that. They're looking at the unprecedented inflation that's kicking into people's lifestyle costs. So I would look at the cost of living crisis and eliminate majority of people from that because they're young and they don't actually have a cost of living crisis. I agree with certain people say they have a spending problem, right? Or go out and make more money. Young families, they're in a cost of living crisis, right? So if you don't have children, you don't have school fees, you don't have all that stuff, you're not in a cost of living crisis. So those families who went out and secured homes, have debt, it's not just the interest rates that's really affecting them, or I would say it's barely the interest rates that affect them. It's everything else that comes along with it.
Yeah.
So those families are going to be put under a lot of pressure, and pressure will either turn them into diamonds, but guess what? Most will crack and they'll be forced to sell, which is a real pity. But again, if you're someone wanting to get into the market,
There's opportunity.
there's going to be a lot of opportunity, especially for investors.
Yeah.
I think that our market has done so many, it's had exponential growth over the last 20, 30 years. I think 10 years is going to be more expensive. It doesn't mean it doesn't go through turmoil in the process.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the way we live changes too. So a lot of factors are pushing towards more compact living, let's call it. Townhouses, units, which is very common in other countries. and not in Australia, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just different to what we're used to.
Perception around what?
Oh, I have to live in a unit. Do you know what? If there's a complex, so I've got 3 children, you've got a couple of boys too. Boys have a lot of energy and they need to run around.
Yeah.
You think apartment, you think that's terrible. If they're building complexes that have all the facilities they could ever desire in them, I live in an apartment complex.
What's wrong with it?
There's nothing, in fact, it's probably better lifestyle.
Mm.
In Australia, we're so fortunate and so lucky that the perception of certain types of living will have definitely eventually change, right? And that'll become the norm and they'll realize, oh, this is actually really good. So all of that just simply means it allows them to have a smaller home loan. Typically speaking, a townhouse is less than a house, or an apartment is less than a home.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you may have body corporate, but guess what? You don't have maintenance on your garden.
Yep.
So I think there's going to be a massive shift in the next 10 years towards that. If you look at the development approvals and what they're trying to push through, and the governments, obviously, they can steer what they want based on policies and how they enable things to happen, right? So when you look at that's happening, they're trying to clearly shift to a different style of living. And I'm very neutral on that because it shouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
We've had it so easy for so long. They're great. Hey, let's pivot. You might love it.
Yeah.
If you don't, go move to Traralgon. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, the fact that there's potentially going to be no changes, for my mind, is a really good thing. It allows people to budget and plan and understand where they're standing. In the past, we've seen royal commissions, we've seen elections. Obviously, every 6 weeks now, there's communication around what's happening with the rates. And with uncertainty, it gives people the opportunity to sit on the sidelines a little bit. I'm not sure what's going to be the outcome, so I'll pause. I don't know about this, I don't know about... But now that we seem to be in a market where the rates are going to be steady for a particular period of time, great opportunity to do your numbers, have reasonable confidence, and they're higher than what they've been, but they're not high.
Correct.
In historical terms. So
they're not high at all.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think stability is great for all concerned. And I think it'll probably level out a little bit in terms of with what you said, opportunities, vendors maybe that were hoping for discounts or rate cuts. They're not going to come, so there might be a few more properties available for those people that are looking to.
Now, let me fact check something. I could be very wrong that I believe America just cut rates. And I'll tell you why this could be interesting. They did. Okay. So here's what's interesting. If you look at the history between Australia and America, Australia follows suit to America. It's clearly not at the moment. Potentially, and I actually think it's a good thing with the tariffs in America, because Trump should be looking after America. He shouldn't be caring what happens to Australia. Right? So there's so many factors now that we're more standing on our own on an island, Australia's an island, and not as affected what happens over in the States. So if we're talking about raising rates and they're now cutting rates, we're clearly on very different trajectories of what's happening in each other's country.
And de-linked economies. The old America sneezes, Australia catches a cold is not as prevalent these days.
Correct.
With the distance and
And I think when we look at this too, it comes down to, you and I always talk about the importance of a long time horizon. So if you're someone right now looking to buy an investment property, let's say an investment or your own home, understand it's a long-term acquisition. Forget the uncertainty out there in the market right now. There's always life uncertainty. You buy something, you should have buffers in place. If you're buying at 6%, you should be telling the rate's at 8%. If you have a child, expect maybe works because someone's going to get sick, and you always need to plan for the uncertain times. And Warren Buffett always talks about when the tide goes out, he's swimming naked. There's a lot of people swimming naked. There's a lot of buyers agencies out there saying buy, 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 and uneducated buyers are buying non-stop because they think that's what you have to do. Not understanding these buyers agents are getting massive commissions to sell properties. The more they sell, they actually probably don't have any interest of your financial future, they want to make this $20,000, $30,000 commission.
Yeah.
Risk comes into play. Every family, every individual has a different risk appetite, and people need to be ensuring when they buy an asset, if shit hits the fan, can they still afford to carry it?
Yeah.
If you're forced to sell it, or you panic and you sell, and I've done that in the past with assets, you'll always regret the decision.
Yeah.
So this is a time for people to really look at it and say, hey, let's make sure everything we do comes from a place of strength,
Yes.
not from a place of weakness. Buying an asset that actually can put pressure on you. And you know, we see this, sometimes a couple will come in, you can tell there's friction inside of their relationship. Buying a house is really exciting. So what do? Instead of fix the foundation of their relationship, they go buy a house together because that's really fun, not understanding that it puts more friction on the relationship and then the relationship falls apart.
Yeah.
You can call it when they come in.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's my borrowing capacity?
Correct. Not what can you afford as a separate individual person.
Correct. And there's a huge difference. What
Yeah.
the banks will allow from a capacity and what fits in with your lifestyle.
Correct.
Poles apart. Yep.
Correct. So I don't know. I think these times just excite me.
Yep.
It excites me as a business owner. It excites me as an investor, and it excites me as someone who can actually educate, and with yourself as well, clients, how to really mitigate their life around uncertain times so it doesn't matter what happens out there.
Perfect. So Mark, there's a lot of psychological changes in the Australian property market. What are your thoughts on where things are headed?
So let's look at watching, what's the show called?
Owning Manhattan.
Owning Manhattan.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I haven't been to New York, but looking at the shows or looking at everything you see, everybody lives, or most people live in apartments.
Apartments, a couple of condos. Yeah.
My mind goes, because I grew up on an acre, my kids grew up on an acre with a lot of land around them. Wow, this is different, right? Imagine growing up with no backyard. But hold on, if they don't know any different, they don't know any different. Look at Sydney. Pockets of Sydney, because of where it is apartment living and is normal. Melbourne, I think, is going to go that way, but it needs this to become the new norm. Hey, we can live in a great apartment, there's a park across the road.
Social perception.
Social perception. Look at Singapore, look at all these other places. People live in apartments.
Yeah.
And they play outdoors. In fact, it could be, your kids could have a better life because they're meeting all the other kids downstairs at the park, not playing in their own backyard.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe I'll go try it out for 12 months.
Our society's built on the 10-pound pom that came out with the quarter-acre block and the Hills hoist and the Victor mower, and it's such iconic things within the Australian culture. But whether or not that's still right and applicable, you would highly question it because we've got so much variety
of people here.
Correct. And
our population is so small. What are we at now?
27, 28 million?
28 million. Like, you look at our land mass, forget the middle of Australia.
Yeah.
Let's just purely look where we live. We could have 27 million people in Victoria easily.
Yeah.
The more it goes that way, the more people live in units. So, but look at the Gurner projects in the city. They have everything.
Yeah. Facilities are massive.
They have babysitters.
Yep.
Last minute, go taking my wife on a date. Call up. Babysitter. 24-hour concierge. I feel a bit tired at 10 o'clock. Call for a massage. It's interesting though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely the facilities are there. The social aspect is really interesting.
If they build them right, I think it makes it more social.
Yeah.
Where I live, because everyone's on an acre, there is zero social aspect.
Yeah.
My kids are outdoors, but they're not socialising. They're playing outdoors.
Yeah,
big difference.
Do it right.
I mean, you are more socialising for your kids because everyone meets at the park.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. And we're houses but smaller blocks.
Yeah.
So, not quite the apartment style, but not townhouses, but it's almost that feel to a degree. Big social community, outdoors.
I mean, you wouldn't live out in Warrandyte in an apartment anyway. If you're going to go to an apartment, you go into the city.
City, yeah. Certain areas.
Watch this whole interest rate thing shift. And I think there's 5 or 6 build to rents going on in Melbourne right now, which I think is fantastic too. I rent, 3 kids, wife. The only thing that can be annoying is that you're not guaranteed long-term tenancy. If that shifts in Australia, the financial security, this is going to sound backwards, especially we provide mortgages to people to buy houses. The financial security you have by renting over owning is massive. Why do I say that? You look at other countries, their property markets, their personal debt levels, their stress based on money is not like it is in Australia. Why is it like that in Australia? Because everyone's trying to keep up with everybody else. Got to buy a home, got to borrow money. Borrowing money creates stress on the family. You have a child, the mother is now forced to go back to work, not have the option to go back to work. It's now an obligation. All this simply comes of a stigma of we have to buy. No, you have to invest. That's a must. The piece, if they change the rules so you can't get kicked out easier and you could sign a 10-year lease, would be incredible because you know you have a payment, but the payment, the costs to run the house, the taxes to run the house, everything, you don't have it.
So there's 5 of these going up.
I believe there might even be more.
Yep.
So build to rent is simply, let's say they're building hypothetically 500 properties.
Yep, big apartment complex.
Huge apartment.
Yep.
All the amenities, they can never be sold off individually. So it's normally big institutional money, buying a big complex. You rent there, you could potentially rent there for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You can't get kicked out like a normal tenancy. I think they're huge in America and they're huge in Europe. It's about time they come to Australia. It solves a lot of the problems.
Very different to what we have at the moment.
Correct.
Individuals with individual agreements and so on. So this is,
So a block of units, hey, let's sell them off individually. You cannot do that with these.
Yeah.
Their sole purpose is they're built for tenants. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I suppose this sort of stuff is when we talk long term. Let's see how this affects in the long term. Hopefully Australians pick up on it.
Yeah.
And
then what impact that has on I'll use the term the rest of the market, what we're used to, the standard rental market, if that becomes,
So there's so many factors you could dive into when we look at this. Australia is extraordinarily unproductive because real estate is a non-productive asset.
Yep.
You take away the stigma of everyone has to be buying investment properties, which they should in my opinion, but everyone should be buying their own home. They can focus on other things of being more productive inside of the economy. And it's not all, geez, I've got $200,000 to invest. It probably helps the Australian economy more by putting into the share market than it does by putting into an investment property.
Yeah.
As much as I don't like to say that because I do mortgages. But it's true. You invest 200 grand into the share market, well, business is a productive asset. Real estate is not. I think, it's an interesting place.
Yeah.